One farmer thought was a bent fence post. Turns out to be a little more massive than that.
It was a mammoth.
The shovel hits something that shouldn't be there. A hard clank runs up the handle. James Bristle stops. One boot sinks in cold Michigan mud. His breath shows in the air. It's Friday, 7:42 a.m., near Chelsea, Michigan. He has dug on this farm his whole life. Rocks, wire, old cans. Sure. But this sound is different, dense, hollow. Old. What did he hit? "Hold up," he says. Rick in the ball cap and Manny with the thermos stop dragging the tile line and look over. Soy stalks rattle in a light breeze. The field is damp and dark. It smells like wet dirt and diesel. James drops to a knee and scrapes with his spade. A pale curve shows under the mud. He wipes it clean. The curve keeps going. How big is this thing? Rick leans in. "Old post?" "Posts don't bend," Manny says. James slides the shovel under and pries. The mud lets go with a wet sigh. He lifts out a long arc, heavy in his hands. It's ribbed, thick as his forearm, longer than his leg. Bone? From what? "Grandpa?" a small voice calls. Nolan, 5, trots up from the ridge. He stops, eyes wide. "Dinosaur?" They laugh until James sees another pale shape in the hole. Thicker, a flat edge. He smooths the mud. The shape widens. A basin. A plate. Bigger than it should be. How much more is down there? They stare into the hole. The tractor ticks on idle. The field goes quiet. "Get the phone," James says. They call the county, then the local historical society, then the University of Michigan, paleontology. A woman listens and asks for photos. They text 4. 10 minutes later, another call. "This is Dan Fisher," a steady voice says. "Don't dig anything else. We're coming." James hangs up. They're coming. What did he just invite onto his field? The weight drags. They flag the area with row tape. They brew more coffee. Nolan circles the hole and then sits on a bucket, chin in his hands, watching like the ground might move again. Will it? 2 pickups roll in at 9:13 a.m., then a third. 15 people climb out, boots, jackets, clipboards. One man with a gray beard steps to the edge and looks down. He doesn't speak. He just studies the hole. Is James in trouble? Did he break something he shouldn't? The man circles and kneels by the arc James pulled out. Students gather behind him. He traces the air over the surface. He takes his time. The silence stretches. How long can a moment last? "Well?" James finally asks. The man looks up and gives a small smile. "I'm Dan. We think there's more. A lot more. Can we open it up?" James looks at the tile line waiting, the weather coming, the bills. If he says yes, he loses a day. If he says no, he might bury the past. Which matters more? "How long?" he asks. "One day," Dan says. "We'll be careful." "One day," James repeats. He hears his dad. "Take care of the land, and it takes care of you." He nods. Do it. They move fast. Tarps unfold. Tools come out. A local excavator, Bollinger, noses the bucket into place. The metal teeth touch soil like a scalpel. Every scoop is shallow and slow. On signal, the machine backs out. Students drop in with trowels and brushes. Hands, not guesses. The hole widens. The smell shifts. Less soy, more black muck. At the bottom, a dark layer glistens. Old pond mud. What did this field used to be? "Slow," Dan says. Bollinger feathers the controls. The bucket curls under and lifts. Something long and pale slides free, smooth and curved like a crescent. "Tusk!" a student shouts. They all move, but no one rushes. Foam cradles, extra hands, gentle grip. They set the tusk down as if it could wake up. Nolan claps. James can't look away. Is this what they thought it was? Dan turns to him. Now I can say it. You've got a mammoth. The word runs down the lane. By noon, trucks slow on the road. A pair of teachers walk in from the shoulder. A man in a hospice sweatshirt arrives with his daughter and takes a seat on a folding chair. He watches in silence. What else will the hole give up? More shapes appear. A skull with sockets full of mud, a shoulder blade as big as a tray, ribs in a sweep, vertebrae like giant donuts. Each piece gets a tag, a photo, a foam bed. One by one, they lift the past into the light. Is the story simple, or does it have a twist? Rick points at a straight groove on a rib. What's that? Dan doesn't answer right away. He lines up a flashlight and follows the mark with the beam. It bites, trails, bites again. It looks intentional. Who did this? Those look like cut marks, Dan says. Butchered? The word lands hard. Not an animal that fell and rotted. An animal that people worked on. Here, long before tractors. By who? Manny asks. And why bury it? Maybe they didn't bury it, Dan says. He points at the black layer. Old ponds keep meat cold. Less oxygen, like a natural freezer. He keeps his voice even. We're standing in an old pond. James looks at his boots in the muck and sees another morning in his mind. Water up to the shins, cattails, people in a ring, hands on meat, logs for weight, a plan to come back. Is that what happened here? The day runs hot, then cool. They uncover, tag, lift. Mud gets everywhere, socks, hair, smiles. The skull comes up last, tusks sweeping like two questions. A cheer goes up. Someone wipes a cheek and leaves a black streak. Joy is messy. What's missing? They lay the bones out and count. Skull, tusks, ribs, scapulae, vertebrae. Hind legs are missing. Feet are missing. Some small bones too. Students trade ideas. Transport, scavengers, choices the hunters made. No firm call yet. What will the lab say later? Kira, a grad student, carries over a small fragment. Texture's different, she says. Dan turns it in his hand. He points out tiny details, tusk shape, skull parts, enamel. Jeffersonian, he says at last. Hybrid, traits of woolly and Columbian. Hybrid, Manny says, grinning, like a new tractor. Rare, Dan says. Special. How rare is rare? People keep coming. A local reporter. 2 kids in soccer cleats. The man in the hospice sweatshirt asks if he can sit closer to the tusk. He doesn't touch it. He just looks. I wanted to see it, he says quietly. Before I go? Nolan stands beside him and nods, like he understands. What would you do with something like this? Keep it, sell it, or share it? James feels the choice settle on him. If he keeps it, who sees it? If he sells, who owns the story? If he donates, the town gets a place to point to. Which story does he want to tell his grandson? Dan steps over. If you donate, we can study it, display it, bring classes. Your family's name will be on it. He doesn't push, he just lays out the path. Which way will James go? At the tailgate, Rick says, You know folks will offer money. James looks at the crates, the care, the faces. He looks at Nolan's muddy knees. He makes a decision. I don't want cash, he says. I want people to see it in 50 years and say, this was under our feet. Is that the right call? It feels right. Late afternoon, shadows stretch, the air cools. They're almost out of time. Last pass, Dan calls. We give the field back to the farmer. Bollinger makes one more peel. A thin sliver glints in the black layer. Not bone, not obvious. A student teases it free. Could be from stoneworking, Kira says. Could be natural. We'll bag it, Dan says. We'll know more after the lab. For now, it's a maybe. Does the maybe change the story? They climb out. They wash hands. They coil ropes and fold tarps. Every bone sits in a foam bed with a tag. Crates go into trucks. The lane gets a sign. Please drive slow. Archaeology in progress. The trucks pull away toward Ann Arbor. The field is quiet again. Did this really happen today? That night, the phone won't stop. Neighbors, a radio host from Lansing, a reporter. James keeps it simple. We thought it was a fence post. We called the university. They came. They were gentle. We're donating. Will he regret it in the morning? Days later, he drives to Ann Arbor. The lab smells like dust and alcohol. The bones look clean and pale behind glass. A student shows cut mark images, angles and grooves you can't fake. Another shows tusk growth rings, like a tree's, only ivory. What do the numbers say? This one lived between 10 and 15,000 years ago, Dan says, tapping the tusk. Old enough to matter, close enough to touch. James smiles. Feels like it touched us already. That part isn't science. It's still true. The museum sets a small event. Kids bring paper mammoths. A retired couple brings a cake shaped like a tusk. The man in the hospice sweatshirt's daughter comes back alone. She stands at the rib with the cut marks and rests her palm on the glass. She takes one long breath. What did this day give her? James steps to a small mic. We dug a hole, he says. The past dug back. No more words needed. Back home, the field dries. He finishes the tile line. He plants. Seasons don't care about headlines. But James walks his rows differently now. Every clink means check. Every odd shape gets a second look. What else is under his feet? The story travels. A teacher from Battle Creek brings a bus. Parents add the museum to their weekend list. Someone posts a photo of Nolan's hand on the glass next to a tusk. A small sign goes up by the gate. Bristle Mammoth. Discovery Site. Property of the Bristle family. Please respect. Will the field give up another secret? At dinner one night, Nolan says, Grandpa, do you think there are more? James thinks about the day the shovel hit and everything that followed. He thinks about the lab's careful maybes. He answers the way the day felt. There's always more, he says, if we're paying attention. Is that a promise or a plan? Months pass, the lab sends notes, the cut marks hold up. Plant bits in the pond layer match a cold, late Pleistocene setting. Tusk rings show stress periods, maybe hard winters or long moves. The stone flake? Still not sure. Nature makes edges, too. Science takes its time. Are you okay with that? On a clear Saturday, James and Nolan walk the fence line. The boy pockets every odd rock. Each maybe gets a look. They stop at the sign. A couple strolls down the lane with the same 4 questions everyone asks. How did you find it? By accident? What did you think it was? A fence post. What did they do with it? Studied it? Shared it? Do you miss it? No, we still have the story. James nods at Nolan. Tell them how it started. Nolan stands tall. The shovel made a noise, he says. He gets the beats right. The clank, the rib, the tusk, the old pond, the people, and the choice. Then he adds his own line and grins. Grandpa says we can't keep a mammoth in the barn. It won't fit. The couple laughs. The field stays quiet like it's listening. If you stood here, you'd see a farmer and a kid staring at a patch of ground like it's a window. You'd smell soy and wet earth. You'd hear a truck down the road and a single crow. And under your boots you'd feel, if you could feel time, the weight of a body that fed people, the marks they left, the day it all came back. Some stories end with a period. This one ends with a shovel. And a question. If you were James, what would you have done? Keep it, sell it, or donate it so everyone could learn?